Malia and Sasha, under the strangest of circumstances, you have become two amazing young women. You are smart and you are beautiful, but more importantly, you are kind and you are thoughtful and you are full of passion.
The world watched her grow up in the most famous house on earth. But today, Malia Obama is making headlines for a different reason. A mysterious man has been spotted by her side, and his face is more familiar than you think. However, as Malia navigates her new love, some of Hollywood's most legendary, unbreakable power couples have also proven that forever is actually real. But before we get into the power couples whose relationship stood the test of time, we have to first look at a young woman carving her own path under the brightest spotlight imaginable. Malia Obama, the new blueprint. Throughout 2025 and into early 2026, Malia Obama has been spotted frequently living a surprisingly normal life. While the world spent years trying to guess who she was dating, from her college years with Rory Farquharson to her later connection with music producer David Eklund, Malia decided to change the script entirely. She is not chasing the typical celebrity spotlight or performing for the cameras. Instead,
you wore the burden of years in the spotlight so easily.
She has turned to a life where her privacy is her most valuable asset. This choice to stay low-key is a deliberate move to ensure her personal life remains her own, even as her career as a filmmaker begins to take place. She even dropped her famous last name for her professional film projects, choosing to go by Malia Ann. This shift toward independence shows she wants to be known for her own creative work rather than her family history. But while she is building a creative empire on her own terms, the cameras recently caught her with someone
It's true.
Yes. Wow.
They tried to find the saddest photo.
I know.
that has everyone asking the same question. Has the former first daughter finally found the one? Well, keep watching to find out. Now, Malia may be just starting her journey, but the first couple on our list have been married for over half a century, proving that high school sweethearts are not just a 1970s trope. 16. Ron and Cheryl Howard, 50 years. Ron Howard is a very popular name, yet his greatest production happened off-screen at John Muir High School. He met Cheryl Alley there when they were both teenagers, and they eventually tied the knot in 1975. This was long before Ron became the Oscar-winning director the world knows today. To celebrate how far they have come, Ron shared something special in 2025. He went back to the Burbank Park, where they had their very first date, and dedicated a kissing chair to mark the spot where their story started. It is a rare gesture that shows that even after 50 years, those early, small moments still matter most. Now, raising a family in the entertainment industry is usually a recipe for chaos.
I've never told this story, by the way, for this reason.
Did you pass out?
However, the Howards managed to keep their 4 children, including actress Bryce Dallas Howard, far away from what people call the Hollywood splash zone. They prioritized a normal life over red carpets and flamboyant parties. Ron often says that while luck has played a part in his marriage with Cheryl, staying together still requires real intentionality. He also says that as a married couple, you have to learn to believe you can problem-solve together. This pact kept their bond solid, while other famous couples drifted away. While the Howards found love in high school, our next couple proves that sometimes the longest roads lead to the most stable ground. 15. Alan and Arlene Alda, 69 years. Alan and Arlene Alda are currently standing on the doorstep of a milestone very few people ever see. As of 2026, they are approaching their 70th wedding anniversary. Their journey began in 1957, but the way they met sounds more like a scene from a comedy movie than a historical romance. They were both at a mutual friend's dinner party when a rum cake accidentally slid off the refrigerator and splattered all over the kitchen floor. While other guests stood around awkwardly, Alan and Arlene were the only 2 people who grabbed spoons, and started eating the cake right off the floor. That moment of shared humor and lack of ego sealed the deal. They realized right then that they saw the world through the same lens. Decades later, that bond was tested by something far more serious than a ruined dessert. For the last 10 years, Alan has been living with Parkinson's disease. It is a diagnosis that could easily isolate a person, yet Arlene has been his steady anchor through every tremor and setback. Instead of letting the illness slow them down, the couple often says that laughter and humor have actually made their relationship grow stronger.
And their families can suffer. But in the very beginning,
Alan and Arlene Alda have learned to adapt and find joy in the small victories of daily life. If 69 years sounds like a miracle, wait until you hear how a pact saved our next couple from the brink of Hollywood's biggest pitfalls. 14. Samuel L. Jackson and LaTanya Richardson. Jackson, 45 years. In an industry where splitting up is almost expected, one couple decided early on that they would be an exception to the rule. They got married in 1980 with a very specific goal in mind. This couple made a pact to be a revolutionary black family that stayed together, no matter how much fame or pressure came their way. For Samuel L. Jackson and LaTanya Richardson, Jackson, this was more than a romantic idea. It was a commitment to change the narrative of Hollywood relationships. As of August 2025, they have officially hit the 45-year mark, but getting there requires a level of toughness that most people never have to show. The real test arrived in the early 90s during what Samuel calls his crack years. He was struggling with heavy addiction, and things reached a breaking point when LaTanya found him on the kitchen floor. Most people would have packed their bags, but LaTanya did something braver. She stood her ground and insisted he go to rehab immediately. Samuel credits that moment with saving his life and his career. He often says that without her iron will, the world would have never seen him become a cinematic icon. Even now, in 2024 and 2025, they are still a force to be reckoned with. Recently working together on Broadway, Samuel Jackson once revealed that the secret to a successful marriage is two people who love, care for, and respect each other. Speaking of powerhouses, our next couple redefined what it means to be a first couple of cinema. 13. Denzel and Pauletta Washington, 42 years. It took 3 attempts at a marriage proposal before one of the most respected leading men in history finally got a yes. The story began back in 1977 on the set of a television movie called Wilma. This was where Denzel and Pauletta first crossed paths. While Denzel was clearly smitten early on, Pauletta was not in any rush to head to the altar. She famously turned down his first 2 proposals, making him wait and work for that commitment. Eventually, they tied the knot in 1983, and over the last 42 years, they have become the gold standard for stability in an industry known for quick breakups. Their bond goes much deeper than red carpet appearances. In 1995, they traveled to South Africa to renew their wedding vows in a ceremony officiated by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. This moment highlighted the deep spiritual foundation that keeps them grounded.
I hear that you were the teen mom on the set, and you really all the actors said that you really took care of everybody.
Always.
As they moved into 2025, the couple showed up at the Cannes Film Festival to support the next generation of their family. Instead of focusing on their own fame, they spent their energy cheering on their children as they took over the world of directing and acting. Seeing them together today makes it clear that their long road was built on mutual respect and a shared sense of faith. They say music is the food of love, and for our next couple, a 48-year rhythm has never missed a beat. 12. Gloria and Emilio Estefan, 48 years. Long before they were global superstars, 2 young musicians, Gloria and Emilio Estefan, met in a local wedding band called the Miami Latin Boys. It was the late 1970s, and they were simply trying to make people dance in South Florida. By 1978, Gloria and Emilio Estefan were already married, beginning a partnership that would eventually transform a local group into the world-famous Miami Sound Machine. They built a massive empire together, mixing Latin rhythms with American pop, but their biggest test happened on a snowy highway in 1990. While on tour, a semi-truck slammed into their bus, leaving Gloria with a broken back and a very slim chance of ever walking again. The year that followed was the true definition of a marriage. Emilio stayed by her side every single hour, helping her through grueling surgeries and a long, painful recovery process. He became her primary caregiver and her biggest cheerleader when she had to learn how to move her body all over again. This period of intense struggle did not pull them apart. It actually solidified their bond. The queen of Latin pop eventually returned to the stage stronger than ever, turning her success into a family dynasty that includes hotels, restaurants, and a Broadway musical about their lives. Today, they remain inseparable, proving that a shared dream can survive even the most terrifying obstacles. We are very blessed. We have a very beautiful relationship. It's just grown closer and tighter through the years, Gloria said. We've seen how these Hollywood legends make it work. But the biggest mystery of the year belongs to the woman who grew up in the White House. 11. Malia Obama. The reveal. The internet went wild when Malia was spotted with a familiar mystery man. And while the tabloids were quick to call him her new boyfriend, the truth is far more interesting than you think. Over the last year, Malia has been linked to creative minds like music producer Dawit Eklund and Greek photographer Achilleus Ambatsidis. These sightings had fans convinced that a massive celebrity wedding was probably around the corner. However, on Valentine's Day in 2025, Malia made a statement without saying a single word. Instead of a romantic date with a boyfriend, she spent the night out at dinner with her closest friends. The real reveal is that Malia Obama is currently choosing a life of independence. Her mother, Michelle Obama, recently shared on a podcast that she tells her daughters not to let one bad date ruin the scene and to move on if things are not working. So, it seems like Malia is taking that advice to heart. By keeping her relationship status private and refusing to give the paparazzi a clear answer, Malia is proving that she is currently focused on her career. Although she has been seen with several talented men, her focus remains on her work as a director and filmmaker. Malia Obama is showing the world that you do not need to be part of a power couple to be powerful. While Malia is focused on carving her own path, our next story proves that sometimes the person you are meant to be with will find you when you least expect it, even through a television screen. 10. Michael Caine and Shakira Baksh, 53 years. In 1971, a legendary British actor was sitting at home watching television when an 8-second coffee commercial changed his life forever. The woman on the screen was Shakira Baksh, a stunning model and former Miss Guyana. Immediately, Michael Caine was so captivated by her beauty that he became obsessed with finding her. He originally thought she lived in Brazil because of the advertisement and was actually planning to fly across the ocean just to meet her. Luckily, a friend stepped in and mentioned that she was actually living right there in London. He got her number from the advert agency, and after numerous calls, Michael connected with Shakira, and she finally agreed to go out with him. This persistence paid off because he fell deeply in love almost immediately. Not long after, the couple headed to Las Vegas for a simple civil ceremony on January 8, 1973. Later that same year, they welcomed their daughter Natasha into the world. Over the last 53 years, their marriage has become a rare example of true stability in the chaotic world of show business. Michael often tells people that Shakira is the reason he stayed grounded as his fame grew. She became his constant companion by traveling with him on film sets all over the globe, ensuring they were never apart for long. Even after half a century, they still look as connected as they did on that very first date in London. While Michael Caine was smitten by an advert, our next couple's chemistry was so undeniable on a movie set that they decided marriage wasn't even necessary to prove it. 9. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, 43 years. In 1983, a pair of stars reconnected on the set of the movie Swing Shift and sparked a connection that ignored every traditional rule in the book. Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell had actually met years earlier when they were much younger, but this time, the timing was perfect. What makes them stand out in a town obsessed with big weddings and expensive divorces is that they never actually got married. They have spent 43 years together based on a simple philosophy. The couple didn't see or think that there was any need to get married. For them, the lack of a marriage license is exactly what has kept their spark alive for over 4 decades. Their unique approach to life extended to the way they built their home. They focused on creating a tribe rather than worrying about formal titles. They raised their children, including Kate Hudson and Wyatt Russell, in a blended family where everyone felt equally valued. They even have a legendary Christmas tradition in Aspen, where the whole group gathers every year to disconnect from the world and focus on each other. Despite having very different public personas, with Goldie being the bubbly spirit and Kurt being the rugged leading man, they have found a perfect balance. When asked about the key to a successful partnership, Goldie says, "You have to have good physical intimacy. They show us that love does not need a contract to be real or permanent." 8. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, 37 years. When they first met on the set of the sitcom Bosom Buddies, neither of them could have guessed they were looking at their future for the next 37 years. At that time, Tom was married to his college sweetheart, Samantha Lewis. However, a strain in their relationship caused them to separate in 1987, and almost immediately, his relationship with Rita went public. A year later, Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson officially tied the knot. But for Tom, this was more than a wedding. He has been very open about the fact that he grew up in a fractured home and did not really understand what a healthy, functioning marriage looked like until Rita came into his life. Their bond became the anchor that allowed him to become one of the most successful actors of all time, proving that a solid home life is often the secret ingredient to professional greatness. However, that foundation was put to a public test during some very frightening health scares. In 2015, Rita was diagnosed with breast cancer and had to undergo a double mastectomy.
When Rita Wilson shared details on her recent diagnosis of breast cancer and a double mastectomy, she said it wasn't until she got a second opinion.
Tom remained right by her side, proving that his loyalty was far more than a movie set or even a red carpet pose. A few years later, in early 2020, they became the first major celebrities to contract COVID-19 while filming in Australia. But facing a global pandemic together in a foreign hospital only seemed to bring them closer. Even into 2024 and 2025, they continue to work as a powerhouse team, producing films together and supporting Rita's thriving music career. They have shown the world that true partnership means being in the trenches together when things get messy. Sometimes, love isn't about support alone. It is about having a sense of humor, especially when you find out you are actually distant cousins. 7. Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick, 37 years. In 1988, when this couple first crossed paths on the set of the movie Lemon Sky, the sparks were definitely not flying for both of them. While Kevin Bacon was immediately interested, Kira Sedgwick later admitted her first impression was that he was a bit full of himself. In fact, she had actually met him years earlier as a 12-year-old fan at a deli, but he had no memory of the encounter.
You met her, she was 12 and you were 19.
Well, no, not the first time I met her. I don't remember that meeting, actually.
Despite the rocky start, they tied the knot later that year and have remained one of the most grounded couples in the industry for 37 years. But you see, Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick have managed to keep their relationship fresh by embracing the unexpected, even when it comes to their own family tree. Well, in 2013, the couple appeared on a genealogy show and received a bombshell revelation that would have sent other couples into a tailspin. They discovered they were actually ninth cousins once removed.
Is there anything that you hope to learn about his family tree?
My biggest fear is that we're cousins.
But rather than letting the news become awkward, they handled it with their signature wit. Kira famously joked that as long as they weren't first cousins, everything was fine. This ability to laugh at life's strange turns has been their greatest strength. By 2025, they have become viral sensations for a completely different reason. They often share videos from their farm in Connecticut where they sing to their pet goats and alpacas. These goat songs have shown the world a side of celebrity life that feels incredibly human and relatable. They have traded the glitz of Hollywood for a quiet life on the land, proving that the best way to stay together is to keep finding new ways to make each other laugh. For our next couple, the secret isn't about goats or DNA, it's about one partner making sure the land is happy. 6. Angela Bassett and Courtney B. Vance, 28 years. In an era of instant gratification, this couple proved that the best things in life often require a long, slow wait. They first crossed paths while studying at the Yale School of Drama in the 1980s. At the time, they were simply colleagues and friends navigating the intense world of theater. It took over a decade for that friendship to transform into something deeper. They did not actually go on their first date until 1994, proving that sometimes you have to know a person's character before you can fall for their heart. By the time they married in 1997, Angela Bassett and Courtney B. Vance had built a foundation of mutual respect that could withstand the massive fame headed their way.
In 1997, we met and went on a wonderful date. And
their partnership is often described as a masterclass in emotional intelligence. In a candid 2025 interview, Courtney shared a perspective that many found refreshing. He spoke about his personal mission to make sure his wife's world is as peaceful and supportive as possible. He calls it a focus on making sure the land is happy. For him, this means prioritizing Angela's peace of mind and being her ultimate support system. This philosophy has allowed them to navigate the highs of Oscar nominations and the lows of a demanding industry without losing sight of each other. They demonstrate that when two people are fully committed to each other's well-being, the relationship becomes a sanctuary rather than a source of stress. 5. Michael J. Fox and Tracy Pollan, 38 years. When young actress Tracy Pollan stepped onto the set of a hit sitcom, Family Ties, in the mid-'80s, she had no idea she was about to meet her actual love life. Michael Fox and Tracy Pollan played love interests on screen first, but the real spark happened a few years later. By 1988, they got married and continued to live a Hollywood dream that felt untouchable. However, that dream shifted drastically only 3 years later after they got married. At the age of 29, Michael J. Fox was told he had Parkinson's disease. It was a heavy, frightening diagnosis for a young couple just starting their lives together. Many people would have crumbled under that kind of news, but Tracy Pollan chose to lean in instead of pulling away.
The whole idea is if you're true to yourself and you're true to the people that love you, everything's going to be okay.
Over the last 38 years, she has been much more than a supportive spouse. She became the backbone of their household and the quiet force behind the Michael J. Fox Foundation. While Michael became the public face of the fight for a cure, Tracy was the one managing the daily reality of the illness while raising their 4 children. She ensured their home remained a place of joy rather than a place of pity. Michael often says that when he first shared the news with her, she didn't hesitate for a second. Her steady presence allowed him to continue working and inspiring millions of people around the world. They have navigated the slow progression of his condition with a level of grace that shows everyone why those wedding vows actually matter. 4. Meredith Baxter and Nancy Locke, 15 years. After spending decades in the public eye as the quintessential American mother, one actress decided it was finally time to live her truth, regardless of the headlines. She had been through 3 marriages that did not quite fit. But everything changed in 2005 when she met a building contractor who finally understood her heart. Meredith Baxter, the star everyone remembered from Family Ties, spent several years dating Nancy Locke before making a life-changing announcement in 2009. She shared with the world that she was a lesbian, a move that required immense courage after a career built on a very different image.
To say that I'm a lesbian, and it was a later in life recognition of that fact.
By the time they decided to marry in December 2013, they had already built a rock-solid foundation that was about much more than Hollywood glamour. Their wedding in Los Angeles was a quiet, private affair filled with handwritten vows and close friends. It was the first time Meredith felt she truly understood the point of the institution, famously joking that she finally figured out why marriage caught on in the first place. Since that day, they have been together for 15 years, proving that it is never too late to find a partner who truly complements your soul. While finding love later in life is a beautiful journey, our next story proves that sometimes you can pick your future husband out of a magazine before he even knows you exist. 3. Jamie Lee Curtis and Christopher Guest, 42 years. Sometimes a single photograph is all it takes to change the course of a life. Back in 1984, young actress Jamie Lee Curtis was flipping through an issue of Rolling Stone magazine when she stopped at a picture of a man she had never met. She pointed to his face and told her friend Deborah, "I'm going to marry that man." Well, the man was Christopher Guest.
In Rolling Stone magazine, where I saw his picture and said to my girlfriend Deborah Hill, "I'm going to marry him."
And Jamie Lee Curtis was not joking. She went as far as to have her agent give him her phone number, though he did not actually call her right away. It took a chance encounter at a restaurant later on for the spark to finally catch fire. Once they connected, they did not waste any time. They were married within 6 months and have remained a solid unit for 42 years. Their long history together is built on a very simple and famous philosophy that Jamie Lee often shares. She tells people that the secret to a long marriage is to stay on the bus. Her point is that if you stay in the relationship long enough, the scenery eventually changes. The bad days turn into better ones, and the difficult phases pass, as long as you do not get off at the wrong stop. This practical approach has kept them grounded even through their unique circumstances. While many people do not realize it, they are actually British royalty. Christopher inherited the title of Baron Hayden Guest, making them a lord and lady. They have managed to hold these titles with zero drama, choosing a simple life over the usual royal spectacles. From finding your man in a magazine to a blind date that turned into 3 decades of romance, this next pair is Hollywood's most underrated power couple. 2. Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen, 31 years. In 1993, 2 actors who had both basically given up on the idea of romance were cast to play a married couple in a movie called Pontiac Moon. Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen had actually met a decade earlier at an audition, but the timing was all wrong back then because they were both married to other people. By the time the duo reconnected, they were both coming off very public and messy divorces. Neither of them was looking for a new relationship, but a 5-hour canoe trip during filming changed everything. They went out as cautious friends and came back completely smitten. As time went by, Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen officially tied the knot in 1995, and as of October 2025, they celebrated 31 years of what they call a safe harbor. Even after 3 decades, the couple insists that they are still in the honeymoon phase. In their recent public appearances throughout 2024 and 2025, they have shared that they still wake up early every single morning just to play games like Wordle and have coffee together. Ted often says that he matured emotionally when he met Mary, while Mary describes Ted as her partner in the deepest sense of the word. They focus on kindness and making sure they are rarely separated for more than a few days. Their unexpected love story set the stage for the modern power couples who are building empires alongside their romances. 1. Beyoncé and Jay-Z, 16 years. Beyoncé and Jay-Z started as a silent rumor in the early 2000s before surprising the world with a secret wedding in 2008. Over the last 18 years, they have transformed from two individual superstars into a single massive cultural alliance. What makes them unique is how they handle their struggles. Instead of letting the internet tell their story, they use their music to process the rough patches. From the raw honesty of the Lemonade album to the vulnerability of 444, Beyoncé and Jay-Z invited fans into their lives, but did it entirely on their own terms. As they move further into 2026, the couple has shifted into a new phase of their legacy. They have become much more private lately, moving away from the constant spotlight to focus on raising their 3 children and protecting their peace. They proved that a high-profile marriage can survive intense pressure if you prioritize the family over the fame. By turning their personal growth into global art, Beyoncé and Jay-Z showed that loyalty is the ultimate power move. From the lifelong devotion of the Aldas to the quiet farm life of the Bacons, we have seen that there is no single way to make love last. Whether it is staying on the bus through the bad weather or picking your partner out of a magazine, these couples prove that forever is possible even in a place as fickle as Hollywood. What do you think is the real secret to a marriage that lasts over 30 years? Is it about the grand romantic gestures? Or is it just about having a partner who makes you laugh every single day? Let us know which of these couples inspired you the most in the comments below. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our videos. For more content like this, tap on the next video on your screen.